And you're welcome back. You're watching TV3 New Day. It's now time for Big Issues, where we talk about the major news stories making the headlines and the things which matter to you the most. Now, this morning, you know you can be a part of our conversation by sending your messages under our Facebook live stream. I'll be happy to read them as we go. So go to facebook.com and then search TV3 Ghana. You'll see the live stream on there, and you can send messages there. That is how you can participate in the conversations which we'll have live on the show this morning. Also, if you haven't cashed out, you want to do so now, dial *439#. That's the number to dial to win this morning if you are a Telecel subscriber or an MTN subscriber. By dialing *439#, you can win big on the show. So dial now together. We can do it together. *439#. And then you select option 2 for TV3. And then you can play at least 25, 30, or even 40 times, all right? And that's how you can win big on the show this morning, by cashing out. All right. And so today is the last but one day of the year. The year ends tomorrow. And so tomorrow, you know, Cash Money Cookie has a big jackpot for us tomorrow. But how much she gives us tomorrow would partly depend on how much we play today. So play more today, and then let's have a big one tomorrow. Now, for Big Issues this morning, we're going to be discussing two major issues. The question of private sector participation in ECG and the pushback by the Public Utilities Workers Union, saying that this is not what they agreed and this is not what was expected. Also, conversations about the Gold Board is still ongoing. Yesterday, we saw an address by the Honorable Kojo Nkrumah speaking to the fact that the minority is asking for a probe into the $214 million loss recorded by the Bank of Ghana in its gold reserves program. Now, the question that a lot of us, or a lot of you, have been asking on social media following the comments from Eric Afful, Honorable Eric Afful, and Kojo Nkrumah, is the difference between a loss and cost, and what exactly does it mean if we say that this money, $240 million, which has been mentioned, is not a loss, but rather the cost of doing these transactions and more. We're going to get into this conversation in great detail. The gentlemen are already here with us, and today is the last but one day of the year, and so we promise to give you the very best of the conversation because it's the last time we're going to see them this year. This is the last time we're going to see you guys this year, you gentlemen this year, before we go into 2026. And I'm seeing some of you for the first time on the show. So a very special welcome to the Deputy Director General of the Kofi Annan Center of Excellence, Honorable Mohamed Aziz.
Thank you, Nana.
Great to have you on the show.
Good to see you too.
Great to see you too.
Good to see you too.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. And first time meeting a doctor on the show. As well, lawyer, we were here last week, right? Yes. Yeah.
You were on the Friday team.
Yes.
You're welcome to the Tuesday team.
Thank you.
You're welcome to the Tuesday team. Also, for the first time on our Tuesday team, Richmond Roxon, Head of Comms at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good to see you.
Good to see you.
And
Happy
then,
New Year in advance.
Happy New Year. And then let me say Happy New Year to the good people of Ghana and also my fellow panelists.
All right. We also have joining us in the studio the man from Team Yellow. Are we still Team Yellow? Is it still Team Yellow, right? We're keeping the butterfly and everything.
That's right.
We're just now a party.
That's right.
All right. Dr. Ramsey Inusa, he is the Director of Political Research, United Party. And I should add, one of the most amazing researchers we have in this country, because research from I don't know how many years back, he's able to hold them in his memory and speak them off the cuff. It's very admirable. Great to have you, sir.
Yeah,
great to have you.
Great to see you as well.
In studio. And Mr.
Merry
Austin.
Christmas to you and my fellow colleagues seated here. And a prosperous new year ahead, and to the good people of Ghana. Now,
Let me introduce
Yes.
our in-house lawyer.
That's right.
Austin Bracco Powers, private legal practitioner. Also, one of our regulars on Tuesday. Great to have you in studio. We're matching colors.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're matching colors today.
I think it was on purpose.
Yes. All right, gentlemen, you're all welcome. Doc, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I mean, you know, we're almost at the end of this year.
Yeah.
We've seen some signals when it comes to road traffic accidents. I want our people to be cautious that you shouldn't drink and drive. I mean, you can make merry, but you should be moderate in the amount of alcohol and substance you consume when you drive. Because we only live once now.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to die in that manner. So I want to send a message of caution to our people, especially the youth, to be responsible during this festive season.
All right. That's, I think, an appropriate message at this time, especially after that very unfortunate news yesterday in Nigeria. And yes, this morning, we spoke extensively about it under this morning segment, especially about the abandoned vehicles in the middle of the highways, which we see a lot on our highways here in Ghana. And it's even though we haven't seen a report on the accident, we know that he ran into a vehicle which was abandoned or parked by the side of the road. So it's something that we need to be cautious of going into the new year. I think I should give you gentlemen an opportunity to say maybe a message to end the year or a word before we go into the conversation, because we will not have time at the end to do that.
Yeah. So I think, you know, what Doc said, and tying that in regards to what you said, you know, we currently, I think there's this pattern that we need to discourage people, particularly, you know, sometimes you see structures springing up near the roadside, and the owners will pile heaps of sand, sometimes in the middle of or on a section of the road, without permission. This is an offense, and I think we Ghanaians need to, and the police need to up their game. When, you know, developers pile heaps of sand, stones, in a section of
cement even.
Yes, in a section of the road,
truck.
you must arrest them. This is a criminal offense. Because what they are doing is that they are causing, they are narrowing the road, thereby leading to what? Accidents. Because imagine someone is driving later in the night, and the person has maybe difficulty with his or her lights. Imagine the accident. So I think the police must up their game when you detect things like that. Arrest the owners of those properties or the developers, so that we can sanitize the system. We have the laws now. Ghana has, I don't know, sometimes we pride ourselves of having adequate laws. What we need is implementation.
All right.
We just need to crack the whip and get the laws working, so that some of our people will start. Because the thing is that if we don't implement the laws, they feel there are no laws. And they then do whatever they want. But if we begin to crack the whip and sanitize the system, I'm sure we'll be able to now do things as civilized people.
All right. Roxanne.
Yes, it's Christmas, and New Year generally is a period of excitement, because those who have had a good year are celebrating. Those who have had a difficult year are looking forward to the following year, which is 2026. And you find a lot of people moving around. It's either they're drinking or out of excitement, they're partying. And so I would throw out a word of caution that we should do that in moderation. We should be cautious, especially when it comes to road users. There's no point drinking and driving. If you want to drink, don't drive. If you can find an alternate driver within the period where you think you're going for a party, do that. If you would want to use a public transport, unlike years ago where even getting a vehicle was difficult, today you have Uber, you have Bolt, you have Yango, and it's relatively easier to get a ride. And so if you want to go out to party, just rely on that. And then let's all get into 2026. 2026 will be a very exciting year. 2025, even though it's been challenging, it's been a year of progress. If you look at how the year started and then where the year is ending, I'm not sure that you want to be out of 2026. So let's all be cautious and then make sure that we have fun in moderation.
All right. Funny moderation. Yeah. All right. And quickly, Mohammed Aziz.
I think that 2025 has been great. We should improve on the good things that we've been doing and tone down on the ills of society. We should recommit ourselves to issues of fighting galamsey, drug abuse, all the things that we think that does not inure to the benefit of our country. We should endeavor to see how we can tone down on them and recommit ourselves to fighting them. And when we talk about resetting a governance, it's not just about what the leader can do. It's about resetting our minds to do what is right and to avoid what is bad. That's the most important thing.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to connect on Zoom with Dr. Nyako, who has just joined us. He's the General Secretary of the TUC, Dr. Kwabena Nyako. Are you with us, sir? All right. We'll come back. We'll come back to you, Doc. But let's take a look and listen to the TUC and the PUWU, the Public Utilities Workers Union, on what exactly the pushback is against the private participation in ECG.
We are saying again and again that ECG is not any ordinary company. It's a national strategic asset that should not be compromised with. People can come and bring you sugar-coated waste in the name of helping to transform the company. But I want to say that His Excellency, the President, has the power to appoint or disappoint any person that he appoints to the position. And he can do that. Red band that we are seeing is our displeasure for government move to bring private sector participation in ECG. And the first move is to bring transitional advisor, which we are actually opposed to. So we are opposed to the appointment of transitional advisor. We are opposed to the private sector participation. Since we have seen that ECG being left in the hands of government is operating, why do you need a private sector participation?
At this point in time, we do not think when progress is being made, you need to disrupt that progress and hand over ECG to a private foreign concessionaire. We don't think so. So we are worried, and workers are worried about their job security. They are worried because they have seen in this country how privatization has destroyed jobs without bringing in the needed investment and technology that we were promised. The IMF was not voted into power in Ghana. In fact, IMF has up to April to leave this country, and we will be very, very happy if they leave. When the previous government indicated its readiness to go to the IMF, we issued a statement against that. We said it was a sad day in the history of this country. It's an indication that, contrary to what Kwame Nkrumah has said, we are unable to manage our own affairs. So having come this far, the new government that came in has done so well. Things are improving. We should demonstrate to the world that we are capable of managing our own affairs. So the IMF must leave in April.
All right, and those are some comments from the TUC and the Public Utilities Workers Union. So I think we'll just start with you, Roxanne. You've heard the concerns of the workers. They do not want this private participation. They are pushing back against it. They say it's not necessary because progress is being made currently. And they have raised concerns about job security, among others. Now, these conversations have gone on for a while, conversations about privatization of ECG. Before we get into assessing their concerns, can you just tell us exactly what this is going to look like?
Okay, so basically, in April 2025, the Cabinet of His Excellency, the President, approved the private sector participation in ECG. Let me state on record, categorically, that the government does not intend to sell ECG. The government does not intend to diversify ECG. And that what the plan is to introduce private sector participation in certain aspects of ECG's operations to improve. I'm sure that all of us on this table have had one concern or the other when it comes to ECG's operation, whether it comes to billing, whether it comes to collection, whether it comes to service delivery, whether it comes to applying for meters,
pricing,
whether it comes to generally, we've had several issues with ECG. And if you look at this government and where His Excellency the President and Honorable Dr. John Jinapor took the energy sector from, particularly power sector, the Achilles heel of our power sector has been ECG. When we came into government, ECG had liabilities of over 80 billion cedis. You had IPP debts of 1.73 billion United States dollars. Beyond that, there were how many containers at the ports that had been uncleared.
Yeah.
There were procurement challenges and a myriad of issues. The inefficiency was high. The AT&C, what we call aggregate technical and commercial losses, stood around 40%. And so there were moves by the government to immediately deal with the challenges. And if you recall, at the time this administration took over, we were shedding load of 700 megawatts in December. So the sector was very, very challenged. There had to be strategic reforms by the minister to ensure that where we are today, we've seen the light on. For 8 good months, there hasn't been any load shedding. 8 months. And we keep saying that anybody who has had his or her power off will be as a result of what we will call localized faults, which will be peculiar to your area. And so if you look at the challenges that the government met, you needed to act immediately. And that is why by the first quarter, His Excellency the President's Cabinet had approved the PSP. What the PSP will be, like I said earlier, is not a sale of ECG.
What would it look like?
What it will be is the introduction of multiple concessionaires to help handle ECG's challenges. So you look at the country, you look at the areas where ECG operates, and then you do what you call zonalization. Zonalization, you bring in the concessionaire, let's say for Tema. Tema will be handled by Honorable, this area will be handled by Austin. And then what you do is that you have your KPIs. Generally, you improve on billing and collection, and then service delivery. This, at the end of the day, will not be like what we saw under PDS, where ECG itself was handed over to a private entity. And as a government, our position has always been that there's nothing wrong with privatization when it comes to ECG. And you will recall that even the PDS issue is a government of John Mahama in his first administration that started the process under the Millennium Challenge development, where because of the actions of the previous administration in how he handled PDS, we lost almost $200 million. And so it is not to disadvantage anyone. I know that definitely workers are concerned about their livelihoods, and they've had assurances of government that that will not happen. You're not going to see anybody being dismissed or being relieved. It is to improve on the services of ECG by bringing in multiple concessionaires. Basically, that is what it is.
One of the concerns has been that these concessionaires or this private sector persons, individuals or companies will be foreigners.
I heard Doc mention that, and I was taken aback. I don't know why he emphasized on foreigners. It's a government that were very strong when it comes to local content. And so if you have the capacity as a local company to do it, why not? It is not the government's interest to say we are limiting it to foreigners. Once you have the capacity and capability to do the work, to provide the services, to give the guarantees that you have, I mean, absolutely, why not? And so it is not about bringing in foreigners, no. It's about bringing in competent concessionaires. So whether it is now that you have a company that you know that you can do the work, you can give us the guarantees, provide the service, nothing wrong with that. And it's not because we are fixated on foreigners. And I also heard him mention that that decision is as a result of the IMF. No, that decision was made several months back. And it will be important to put this in perspective. This government has consistently engaged TUC and POO. In fact, if there's any group that if they send a message or call that they want to see the Honorable Minister in the next minute, will be available wherever he is, it's POO, and they know that. At every material, in fact, in the last 6 months, I'm sure that we've had formal meetings, more than 10. As for informal meetings, I cannot count.
And it is on the back of these meetings that they say that you had an agreement with them. You gave them assurances that this privatization was not going to happen. And so they feel betrayed that now you seem to have done a complete U-turn from the conversations you've had in the past.
No, that is not accurate. At no point, and like I said, it is a cabinet decision at the highest level. What it is that there was a meeting between the ministry and then POO. And at that meeting, when the minister was giving them an overview of what was going to happen, they requested that they wanted 6 months from the government. The government did not hesitate. They wanted 6 months to improve because they feel like as workers, they can do better than what they've been doing over the period.
Okay.
And the Honorable Minister said, why not? This was in June 2025. Why not? I'm giving you 6 months, go through the process. It doesn't mean that the process will stall. What we'll do is that we'll run both concurrently. It is not that the PSP is off the table completely, but of course the government will slow down in proceeding with the selection of this concessionaire, but the processes leading to that will not stop.
All right.
And then you come in, and then to be fair, I mean, where we met ECG as a government and where we are, we've seen significant improvement. If you ask me, my sector agency of the year, I'll say ECG. They've done well, and we acknowledge that.
Okay.
But they are where we have to be. We are far from where we have to be. Okay. It's like a student making you're expecting you make an A, which is about 70, 80. You're making 30, there's an improvement, and you get to 5 or a C. It doesn't mean that you are where you have to be.
Okay.
But there will be room for improvement.
We're going to circle back and come back to you.
Yes, let me make this point that I will say that pool should come back to the table. It's always been, we always discuss.
Have they walked away from the table?
No, because if you are protesting, I mean, there's no point protesting when you have access to the minister and government.
All right. Okay. I want us to cross over now to Zoom, where Dr. Kwabena Nyaku is joining us. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the TUC. Good morning, Doc. Can you kindly unmute your microphone?
Good morning. Good
Yes,
morning.
amazing. Thank you. It's great to have you join us on the show this morning. I'm sure you heard Richmond speak just now about what the privatization or the private sector participation is going to look like.
Yeah, I've heard.
All right. What exactly makes the TUC feel threatened by this proposal?
Okay, so first of all, let me say and join Roston in congratulating the government of Ghana, led by His Excellency President Mahama. They've really done a good job and in reviving ECG. They've shown how leadership can actually turn the fortunes of state institutions around. So we really congratulate them, and the statistics are very clear. Rossin, and whilst congratulating government, Rossin was very deliberate in leaving out the workers of ECG and the hard work they have put in support of government.
But he just congratulated you and called you Agency of the Year.
But he attributed that to the massive work government has done, which I acknowledge. But government did that with the workers of ECG. And that from getting an A, which is 70 to 80 marks, he has considered that we have moved from about 30 to about 50 in about 5 months, or let me say roughly 10 months. It means we can get to 70 and we can get to 80. Why change the winning team? You have sat with us. We have agreed on a number of benchmarks, and things are clearly improving. And in fact, let me highlight the leadership that His Excellency President Mahama and Dr. John Chinapo, their leadership in this regard. And in fact, their leadership is exactly the reason why we should not do what we are doing. Government intends to do with ECG. In fact, their leadership demonstrates clearly that ECG and all other failing state institutions can be turned around if we get the correct leadership for this country. Madam, somewhere in the early 2020s, 2021, the government of Ghana, the then government, decided to privatize TOR under arrangements we, the unions, found very problematic. We fought against it and preserved TOR as a state institution. Today, with good leadership again from President Mahama, TOR
after many years of non-refining, is refining again. Assuming we had not risen up at the time and Tor had been handed over, what would have been the fate of Tor and what would have been the fate of Ghana? The point we are making is that a good start, we have made a good start. Let us continue to its logical conclusion.
Is there...
Again...
Go ahead,
Come
sir.
again.
You go ahead.
Okay. Again, Rawson has attempted to differentiate between privatization and private sector participation. Rawson, we have been in this game for a very long time, and we know that they are the same. In fact, when in 1995, the Ghana government divested its shares from the Ashanti Goldfish Corporation, it didn't sell everything. It still kept a portion. When in 2007, it divested itself of Ghana Telecom, it still maintained a share. It just introduced private sector participation, and that was called privatization. Again, Rawson, you made the point that there's no problem of privatization from the point of view of government. We think that there's everything wrong with privatization, because the history and the evidence points to the fact that privatization, the way we have done it, hasn't helped this country. And we are really amazed at the concept of multiple concessionaires. In fact, it actually demonstrates a certain ideological bent to dismantle ECG. The organization of the year, according to Ross.
Agency of the year. No, just go ahead.
If that organization of the year suddenly gets dismantled by multiple concessionaires to do what it has been doing, and for which it has been recognized as the organization of the year, then it raises a number of questions. You can, in fact, coming from the IMF, you can only see that this is ideological reason. It has nothing to do with performance, because performance, we are performing. Even though we are not yet out of the woods, we are actually making progress. This is purely an ideological reason that says that the public sector is bad and the private sector is good.
All right, Doc, you made a statement. You said privatization, the way we have done it, has not helped this country. So my question to you is, are you against privatization in itself or private sector participation in itself altogether? Or is your issue with privatization the way we have done it in this country so far? So do you have a proposal for a different way this particular privatization can be handled so as to get the buy-in of the TUC?
So the two concepts, privatization and private sector participation, are one and the same. The TUC is ideologically opposed to it, and the TUC has enough evidence to show that privatization in this country hasn't helped the state.
Privatization and private sector participation, to my mind, sounds like two different things.
They are not.
Because privatization, I mean, or I should just let you explain it. You explain it, Richmond. Yeah.
Beyond that, Doc, beyond that, I'm a transactional lawyer as well. And so when you box these together, one has to do with equity. Transfer of equity. That's not what we are doing as a government. We are not transferring ownership to anyone. That is privatization. What you are doing is that you are bringing in concessionaires to manage an aspect of the operations that has been challenging when it comes to ECG. And you know the irony, ECG itself, it has contractors that work for them. Is that not privatization? Yeah. ECG itself, the sale of, how do you call it? It's not even meters. They sale of power. When you go to areas where they sell prepaid and all those things, those vendors, that's introducing private sector participation. And so we shouldn't, I know that the underlying issue has to do with guarantee of jobs. That is the truth. And they have the assurances of government that the concessionaire will work with ECG. The government does not intend to ensure that any worker loses his or her job. And that is a conversation that we must have.
So I just want you to give us a clear distinction between the two.
Yes.
Privatization is a total transfer of equity
Yes.
from
Either
from
part
say
or total.
ECG,
Yes.
so part or total,
Yes.
from ECG to whichever private organization.
Absolutely.
And private
Sector
participation is what?
You're bringing in the private sector to handle an aspect. For example, when it comes to billing,
Okay.
you decide that for this area, maybe Greater Accra, you're going to bring in the private sector to handle your billing and collection.
All right.
At the end of the day, they are like your agents.
All right.
The principal is still ECG.
So there's no transfer of equity
Absolutely no.
whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And that is what we are going to do.
Absolutely.
So these concessionaires will just manage certain concessions or certain aspects without any transfer of equity. They don't own anything.
That's all.
They're just acting as agents to the principal, who is still ECG.
You are very right. And
All
you know,
right.
this even guarantees ECGs of revenue. Because for for billing and collection, for example, you are expecting, and that's why we are going through the process of getting a transactional advisor. Because the thinking of government is that once the concessionaire comes in, if you're buying power and it's 20 million, you pay up front.
Okay.
It is not that you collect the money. It's like what we've seen with PDS, where now there are money sitting with them and then we are firefighting to recover the money. No, you pay up front, and then once you finish selling, at the end of the day, you need more, you come in. So you pay the money. Let's say you're buying bulk, 20 million, you pay the money to ECG, and that will even give ECG revenue to even operate.
Right.
I think that this...
Let me come to you, gentlemen, now. Doc, you've heard the conversation back and forth. Where do you stand on this?
I mean, now, if you quietly recollect, during the climax of the election, we were the first political polity to launch a plan, right, called the Great Transformational Plan. Mm-hmm. In the Great Transformational Plan, it is stipulated that ECG's metering, billing, and collection operations should be privatized. So we concur with the vision of this government in this regards. I mean, if you look at the gains that ECG has made, I must commend ECG and its workers today, and the minister in charge for energy and green transition. If you look at the administrative cost of ECG, as at last year, it was about 279 million cedis. They have cut it down to 169 million cedis this year. If you look at the coverage of bills, as at 2024 was 11%, this year was 48%. If you look at the revenue of ECG, it has increased from 900 million to 1.7 billion this year. So it's quite significant. They are doing well. But we believe that they can do more if we privatize some aspects of the operations. And so when it comes to metering, when it comes to the collection, and when it comes to billing, I think that it should be led by private sector. And it would enhance efficiency. I mean, I quite understand the sentiments laid out by the organized labor because of job security, which makes sense. But again, it is incumbent onto this government to ensure that this aspect of privatization, right, or private sector participation should have some form of job security and local content in it. Okay. I do not subscribe to the idea that it should be, I mean, we should involve foreigners in this aspect. We can involve foreigners in the, I would say, the productive aspect of generating electricity, which has a huge cost burden, right, and needs a lot of capital. But when it comes to the billing, metering, and then collection, I think that we should allow Ghanaians, government should create a facility, right, in partnership with the central bank so that they can be able to give concessionary loans to private sector participants to engage in such significant...
Government should give loans to...
through the central bank to give concessionary loans, right, which are loans that are cheaper in terms of interest with a single-digit interest rate to private sector players who want to involve in this, what do you call it, aspect of the private sector participation of ECG. Okay. And I believe that it would enhance efficiency. Now, part of the problems that we face as a country, and I feel highly disappointed with our leadership, is to do with our energy mix. I am totally flabbergasted when I hear that today, 70% of Ghana's electricity comes from our thermal power plants. I mean, it's so expensive to run your nation on HFO and diesel. It is so expensive. That is why the cost of electricity
is somewhat expensive as compared to our neighboring countries like Ivory Coast. And so when President Mahama,
What
indeed,
does Ivory Coast run on?
well, they mostly hydro and then some thermal power plants. But when President Mahama mentioned the green transitional aspect of the Ministry of Energy, I was very happy because I am a staunch advocate for sustainable development. And indeed, if you look at part of my research, I propose some parameters when it comes to corporate environmentalism, which will be another subject of discussion another time. But I believe that if this government would go a long way to invest in renewable energy and cleaner energy right now, which is cheaper from this current 70% thermal power plants that are producing electricity, it would go a long way in reducing the cost of electricity. And we are proposing that the government inculcates or introduces nuclear energy. And I know that the ministry has started discussion. I don't know how far they have gone with that, but I think Roxanne can also give us a briefing on that. I think that will go a long way to support our industry. And indeed, the government's industrial plan of the 24-hour economy, because you cannot run an industrial base with a very expensive, energy source. You understand? You would have a huge pass on inflation onto the end consumer, and your exports will be very expensive, and you will not be competitive. So I believe that if government goes towards, reorienting our energy mix and making sure that we have more renewables in the mix, it will go a long way to mitigating all these issues with tariff prices. And I definitely concur with government's agenda to privatize the metering, the billing, and the collection of ECG activities. Yeah.
Only those aspects?
Only those aspects.
Metering, billing, collection?
That's it.
Okay. Maybe when we come back to you...
What would be the other aspect for ECG?
Yeah, so I was just going to ask Roxanne, when we come to you, you tell us which other aspects will be left. But before we come to you, Roxanne, let's talk to Austin, and then we'll come to Mohammed, and then back to you, Roxanne.
The distribution
can
be left.
Yes,
backup powers. Let it be put on record that there's nothing inherently wrong with outsourcing key services or sectors of the Electricity Company of Ghana, or engaging a private entity for a clearly defined function. But what we should resist is the attempt to use operational inefficiencies, some usually politically induced, as a ruse to auction off ECG. That is what we must resist. And now I'm just curious, is the current conversation to include or encourage private sector participation truly about efficiency and reform? Or is it merely the first step towards full privatization? I remain deeply skeptical and understand the skepticism of TUC and other organizations. Now, history teaches us that usually PSP is presented as a technical solution. But in practice, it becomes a soft landing for privatization.
Full privatization.
We have seen this movie one too many in Ghana.
Case in point.
Ghana Telecom. Ghana Telecom was once declared as a strategic national asset. Then, behold, boom, they just sold it. The thing is that we must be upfront. I expect government to be upfront. In fact, the president had ruled out privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana when he had an opportunity to speak at the African CEO Forum in Abidjan in May. But the policy trajectory of this government tells a different story. I am saying that this government must be upfront and tell the workers what the intention is. But let us not use...
there are some things left unsaid?
Yes, I think there are some underhand dealings.
Why do you think so?
No, now I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying, that usually when they tell you in Ghana, when they tell you we are bringing in private sector, we're encouraging private sector participation, it's just a cover-up.
ECG already contracts private people to do various things.
That's what I'm saying that inherently there's nothing wrong. But I'm saying that it's one step. Let me tell you the familiar script. This is a familiar script. Introduce a private operator under the guise of inefficiency or efficiency. 2, gradually expand the control of the private sector. Then the last one is what? Is just to divest the state or the state interest in that company. This is a script. The 3-step is a three-pronged approach.
What's your basis?
And I'm telling you that we have government government is telling us that they are only initiating the first step.
Did they say that?
No,
Did they say that?
no, relax. No,
you cannot
relax.
No.
The thing is that now to bring in private sector. No, right.
No.
A few minutes ago, you said that you are bringing in multiple.
I didn't say that.
You said you are bringing in multiple
concessionaires.
Yes.
And I'm saying that is the first step towards full privatization.
So you are saying that.
Exactly.
The government is not saying.
No, so now. No, Doc, you've had your bites. You've had your bites. Allow me to.
No, don't
I think
mislead
this claim is needless. Allow me to finish. The thing is that now, I'm telling you that this is the familiar script. They introduce a private operator under the guise of efficiency. 2, then gradually they expand the control of the private sector. Then the last option, which is the last step towards full privatization, is where they divest the remaining interest of the state from that company.
And my question is, what's your basis for thinking that
what's the basis?
this is the roadmap that the government intends to employ?
That's what I'm telling you, that we've seen this script one too many.
Where?
And where? Are you in Nigeria or
where?
South Africa?
Where?
I'm saying Ghana. We've seen this script played out in Ghana. And I'm saying that now.
Where there was PSP.
Oh, please stop the.
No way. It should give you one instance.
Very significant.
Doc, wait. Let him land.
That of DVLA.
Let him land.
Now, I'm saying that
I'll come back.
I agree with the
TUC's
TUC.
concern.
They must agitate and let the government come clean, because I feel that something is fishy somewhere. Because for me, I'm skeptical. I told you, and I understand their skepticism. I'm saying that someone is not being upfront with the workers. And it begs the key question. Why are you bringing, if we have privatized or we have outsourced a portion of ECG's function, that is enough. Why can't
when you still have inefficiencies?
Why you see, now I'm telling you the problem about inefficiency as he complains, it's because of the politicians. ECG is a strategic, technically sensitive national institution that require competent and business-minded leadership, not politicians.
And Pepena is a politician.
But when you appoint by ECG head,
do you know Pepena's track record?
Now, I'm saying that not a politician, not a political appointee.
Who are you referring to exactly?
I'm saying that ECG must not be the CEO of ECG must not be appointed.
Okay.
Do you understand? That's what I'm saying. It's a political appointee. I'm saying that we must bring on board competent, business-minded.
You have the competence to run ECG.
Now, I think we should get to a point where such offices must be open to people to apply.
Okay.
So that the managers should be appointed competitively, through a competitive means. That's what I'm saying. Okay. We cannot be appointing people and just by thinking that they are competent. I'm saying that we should open up, let people who are business-minded
apply,
and people who are competent handle it. So now, this is it. The workers must agitate. They must not relax. This government is playing by the script. So they will introduce. So this is what they do.
Just bring in.
No. Bring in a private hand today. Then quietly remove the public hand tomorrow. That's what they are doing, Doc. So you people must sit up and agitate and resist this attempt by this government.
Calling for agitation. Mohammed, please have your bite, and then I'll see if we have enough time to come back again.
There's a lot of confusion around this table on the issue of the private sector participation. First of all, the pool, that's the workers within the power sector, workers of ECG, the government, and we the end users, we are all parties in this arrangement. So our views matter so much. And so I will not fault the pool for making their point very clear. But we have a counter position as a government. And it is not true, when I say there's so much confusion in the system, it is not true that the idea of the private sector participation is an imposition by the IMF. Go and read our 2024 manifesto. It was clearly stated that we're going to engage private sector in the downstream of the power sector. Very, very clear. So that cannot be an imposition from, I hear Dr. Kobe say it is an IMF arrangement. That is not, because we had kept that one in our manifesto. Now, what are we talking about? Lawyer is being very, very speculative. We don't seem to understand the difference between private sector participation and privatizing an entity. Like Roxanne said, to privatize an entity would mean to hand over the assets to another company. That is not what we are seeing here. Now, we cannot continue on this trajectory. That look, the power sector is very integral to our national economy. If we get it wrong, there's no way we can get our economy right. And so whatever we need to do to ensure a stable power supply at a relatively lower cost, it is very, very important. Between 2021 to 2024, ECG recorded a total loss of about 30 billion Ghana cedis. That is untenable. We can't allow that to continue. About 30 billion Ghana cedis just in 4 years, 2021, 2022, 23, and 24. In fact, Roxanne has just indicated that the losses that ECG recorded in 2024 was around 40%. You see, ECG is basically like a trader. 40%, both technical and commercial losses. 40%. What it means is that out of every 100 Ghana cedis that the state, not poor, not the workers, out of every 100 Ghana cedis that the state invests in ECG, they are only able to recover 60 Ghana cedis. No business can survive on this arrangement. And so they must be interested. Look, government has assured them that there will not be any job losses. If that is their fear, that has been guaranteed. That there will not be job losses, they will not be cut in their remuneration.
Have
you had the experience?
Okay.
Oh, government says that there won't be job losses. Have you had the experience
if
of
government is bringing in private concessionaires to handle various aspects of the operations of ECG?
Yes.
How are these operations? So these concessionaires are going to bring their own workers to do their job. So to put it simply, what exactly would the current ECG workers who are currently doing the job be doing?
Okay. Now let me give a very good example. Have you had the experience of looking for a meter? No. Have you had the experience of ECG workers? And regrettable, I have to mention this. People have experienced it, that even looking for a meter, you have to pay huge sums of money just to get a meter. Last week, there was an announcement from ECG that customers who were using a particular type of meter called the Nuru meters cannot purchase power. Yeah. What do you expect those people to do if they need power? The temptation to do illegal connection is very high. There's a lot of operational inefficiencies within ECG that we think we can fix with a private sector participation. What the government is proposing is a multiple lease model. What it means is that they get Company A, deal with the Accra zone. Company B, deal with the Etema zone. So that you have a small portion of area to concentrate on. And like Rosin mentioned, the person would buy the power with cash, prepayment. The person comes to buy the power to go and sell and must make his margins. That is what government is proposing to do if you don't want this. So what I thought is a problem of ECG workers. Your incomes will not be affected. You will not lose your jobs. But we're saying that there has been a lot of inefficiencies in the system. I recognize the fact that they have recorded some gains in the last few months. Yes. That is true. From 900 million in December last year to about 1.7 in July this year. We commend the workers of ECG for that.
And their question is, why not allow them to continue along the same path?
Now, we are looking for a sustainable fix. Today, we have a new ECG boss. We have a new minister for the sector. We have a new president. Their efforts have led working with the workers of ECG for us to record this. But we need a more systematic fix. And that's why we are bringing the private sector participation. Why? There's a test case for us to learn from. Enclave Power, EPC, Enclave Power, that operates within the free zones area. They do exactly what ECG is doing. But because it is privately owned and managed, the efficiency is about 99.9%. virtually zero inefficiency. They are able to recoup all their investments and make profit. Enclave power here, because if I'm a private investor, I will not allow you, my worker, to go and connive with the end user to cheat me. It happens today in Ghana. That most of the wrongs that we see in the system, not all of them, very hardworking ECG workers, but some of them are complicit. If I was to be a private investor and you do that, I'll fire you. But can you imagine if the state was to fire 10 or 20 workers at ECG? Even if they were found doing the wrong thing?
What would happen? If they are found doing the wrong thing?
Who would push back?
If they are found doing the wrong thing?
I'm saying who will push back. So who will push? So Dr. Kobe, what at all are you? What at all? Please. Dr. Kobe, I'm sure you have your turn. Please, Dr. Kobe.
Doc, just hold on. Just hold on for me, Doc. I'm going to come to you after
I have just told you, and you work with the ECG. I've just told you, if you can give me counter numbers, that between 2021 up to 2024, you recorded a loss of about 30 billion Ghana cedis. And that losses that you record, operational losses, is about 40%. And that no business can thrive on that trajectory. The benchmark from PURC is 3% for losses. Benchmark is 3% from PURC, your own regulator. And yet you are doing about 40%. And all that we are saying is that let somebody come and be in charge of the metering, the billing, and the collection. And that is a problem. I don't see where the problem is coming from. Now, gas suppliers, independent power producers, they are old. We cannot continue to walk on this path. The assurance that government can give to ECG workers is that nobody will lose his job unfairly.
That's assurance.
I hear Dr. Bracco. You are being very, very speculative and conjecturing.
I didn't know that you had a PhD.
No, I'm even surprised.
Oh, lawyer.
Honorable is conferring.
Lawyer Bracco, forgive me. Lawyer Bracco, forgive me. Lawyer Bracco, forgive me.
I don't want GTech.
No, they won't come after you. In fact, you are being speculative. You are conjecturing. Government has told you what they want to do, and you are telling us what you think government will do. When the government itself has told us exactly in clear terms what they want to do. Now, if you don't understand, I don't understand. Oh, lawyer, the telecom sector is deregulated, right? How come that MTN, which also offers some service, makes huge profits and pays taxes to the state, and ECG is incurring losses? I don't understand why a consumer who can go ahead to do illegal connection on his meter and yet cannot do same on his phone. You know what it is? Technology and investment. That will come from the private sector, because no investor or shareholder in MTN would allow people to abuse his funds. And when you give the example of Ghana Telecom, now Etilisal, that was privatization. Equity was sold. Yes. Assets were handed over. That is not the case. Please. You see, no. The case of Ghana Telecom,
nothing like that.
Being sold to a Vodafone and now Etilisal is entirely a different arrangement. No equity would be handed over to them. No asset will be handed over to them. And so,
how did it begin?
It's a script.
How did it begin?
It began by just selling about outright sale.
Outright sale. An outright
in 2007
there
by
was no private sector participation.
No, it was
no extension of the private sector's authority.
No, it was an
and eventually removing the government.
It was an outright sale. In any case, in the last regime, please. Lawyer, just Google. It was an outright sale of equity.
That was final analysis.
That was the final analysis.
No, that's not what you said.
That wasn't the final analysis. No.
Now, Ghana Telecom, you see, Ghana Telecom had managers who were not.
But that's employees.
No, not employees. At the point we sold part of, we get part of our equity in Ghana Telecom to foreigners.
That's what I'm saying.
Relax. I'm saying that it's a script. It's a script. That's what I'm saying. That
lawyer, you have your turn. Please,
continue.
I want us to settle this matter on this table.
Lawyer,
that when you want to use Ghana Telecom, now a telecell as a basis, that would be a very wrong premise. That was an outright sale by the government of President Kufuor. What we are doing today is a private sector participation. The power producer will still generate the power, Gridco will do the transmission and everything, ECG will be involved. But of course, maybe most of the workers will now be transferred onto a private a payroll, do the work and you are paid.
The question of the workers.
Look, I'll just give you an example. Enclave Power.
Yes, I got
Enclave
that.
Power.
We got that. The question of the workers.
Yes.
One of their biggest challenges we know is their job security. Are you giving us an assurance of sorts that these private concessionaires will employ the services of the same ECG workers?
Now, let me respond to that.
And then after that, we'll come back to you, Doc.
Let me respond to that. And you notice that whenever Doc speaks, conveniently, he never refers to the classic case of ECG and PDS. And there's a reason why they don't refer to that.
What is that?
Because even with the PDS arrangement, and let me state once again, that our challenge as a government or as a party with the PDS arrangement was not the principle that you cannot involve the private sector. It was the cannibalization of the process. Because people grabbed ECG for themselves. That is what happened when it came to PDS. And within the period PDS operated, Doc can confirm, there were significant improvements in revenues, in service. Why? And ask him whether any worker losses or a job. And so let's not go back referring to abstract. Well, you have a classic case of PDS, which is just the same ECG entity that we are talking about. What the difference is this time is that, one, as a government, we've learned from the mistakes of PDS. In fact, we told them, and they didn't listen. And that is why you are putting in place, instead of doing one whole transfer to a private sector, you're doing multiple concessions. That is de-risking.
Yeah.
That is de-risking to ensure that you don't face the problems we face with PDS.
All right.
And okay.
Let's go to Doc. Doc, you tried to come in a few times to respond to some of the things that have been said. You can go ahead now.
You see, the script for privatization includes bastardizing the state entity.
Bastardizing what?
The state entity. Bastardize the workers enough. They connive, they do that, they do this. Into privatization. That's the first initial step of the script. So even when people acknowledge that progress is being made, they cannot resist the temptation to bastardize. You see, I've told you time without number that we have been part of this process. We followed the AGC privatization. We followed Ghana Telecom. In fact, we have followed about 100 privatization that has taken place in this country. And lucky for me,
100.
I sit on the PRC board. Now,
yes.
You remember when PRC sanctioned ECG directors, board members? You remember?
Yes.
Yes, I was part of those that signed that sanctioning them. And we knew what the politicians were doing to ECG. We knew it. Those that bring in the meters that cannot buy credit, they were not ECG workers, they were politicians. So there was bad politics at ECG.
Is that so?
That result, bad politicians.
You said politicians were bringing in meters.
Meters, yes.
And installing as ECG meters.
Yeah. They were the ones that were winning the contract to bring, in fact, imposing the contract on ECG to bring 40 meters.
This was in 2024.
I mean, not just 2024.
No, Doc. Perspective is very important. Doc, perspective is very important. And you can speak to ECG themselves, even the MD. This is not an administration that meddles in the day-to-day running of any of the agencies. Doc, let me clarify it. And the ECG themselves will attest to it. The minister does not call them to influence them.
Let's let him make his point, and then I'll come back to you, Roxanne. Doc, you land. Roxanne, hold on. Doc, you land, and then Roxanne can respond.
Roxanne has nothing to respond. Roxanne, if you listen to me for understanding, you will get my point. But you are just listening to respond to me without understanding. I'm saying that in times past, I was sitting on PRC board, and I was observing all the things that was happening to ECG. And so those losses that you just mentioned were a matter of course, because we knew what the politicians were doing at the time to ECG and its revenues. We knew them. Thank God there's a change in government. His Excellency, the President, together with his minister, have worked so well, and I commend Pepena. So I agree with Rossen. I commend all the people that are the helm of affairs at ECG today. And I commend the workers of POO, the workers that have worked so well, things are improving. Now, the way we have done privatization in this country, so somebody mentioned EPC. EPC, private individuals who think they have the money and expertise came together to form EPC. And they are now selling power in the thermal enclave to industrial workers, to industrial consumers. So if there's any group of Ghanaians who think that they have the money and the expertise, in fact, they should set up a company and supply power in my area. If their services are superior to the services of ECG, people will switch to them. We should not attempt to cannibalize ECG. In fact, what government is doing, the proposal Russian is so eloquently elucidating, is simply cannibalizing ECG, and we will not allow that to happen. Now,
so you're saying that instead of giving out concessions, the private individuals should set up their own energy production company?
Energy distribution company, because ECG is a distributor. Just like private companies have set up their own private generating companies and they are selling power to ECG. Anybody who thinks they have the wherewithal, the capacity, the expertise, they should go to Northern Ghana and supply power to Techiman and its enclave and give them a better service and let the worker and the people of Ghana choose their service over the services of, say, NETCO or ECG. Now, they have made a lot of big deal about workers. Yes, we are concerned about workers. We represent workers. And we know in this country what privatization has done to the working condition of workers. Take Ghana Telecom. Ghana Telecom today, Telecel, you have workers coming to you. They say they are workers of Telecel. Telecel says that you are not our workers. So you have people working and they don't even know their employer. That is bad for the workforce of Ghana. So we will do everything to protect the job security of our workers. But beyond the job security, now, I have just mentioned that we fought the attempt to privatize TOR because the politics at the time was not allowing TOR to operate efficiently. Today, we have a different resetting politics, and TOR is refining. So when we are fighting, we are not just fighting for our workers. In fact, that's our primary responsibility. But we are also fighting that no government should be allowed to appropriate state property. When we do that, we are actually doing that in the supreme interest of Ghana, not in the supreme interest of any other entity or body.
But you realize that the call for this private sector participation is a call for private Ghanaians to, so to speak, participate in the managing of certain aspects of ECG. It's not a government appropriation, so to speak.
Nah.
When you say government appropriation, what do you mean?
Nah.
Yes.
You see, we are in Ghana, and we know the politics of Ghana.
What is the politics of Ghana?
We know those who win the contract to supply, to manage distribution. We know those who are likely to do the distribution in Accra, and we know those who are likely to do the distribution around the country.
Okay.
We know.
Who are they?
I think you get me. Now, the point we are making is that
Doc,
from the evidence, why is it that this country, we cannot say that we will manage things ourselves? Those Ghanaians, whether foreign or Ghanaians, those people who think they have the expertise, please let them set up a company. Let them buy power from the IPPs. Let them distribute it efficiently. Let them do that. That's our counter proposal.
all right.
Let them do that and let them leave ECG alone.
All right. All right. I think I should let Roxanne just respond to the subject on. I don't even.
No, in fact, Doc has
And then
used,
I'll
yes,
come to you.
Doc
Doc.
and my learned friend, they've used very strong words today, and I'm
familiar with those
no. And for want of a better word, I'm scandalized because
You are scandalized
yes,
as a person.
Yes, because if you say that the goal is to appropriate state assets, if that is the goal,
I didn't say the goal is to appropriate.
Doc, what did you say? Doc, what did you say?
You see, I'm saying that we are in Ghana and we know the politics of this country.
Yeah.
Those that were attempting to privatize TOR just about 2-3 years ago, we dig the background, we knew the people they were selling, they were trying to
So
sell
he's
for.
using the MPP to judge the current regime.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh,
Doc,
I'm not using the MPP to. You see, there's a script, as somebody mentioned, and that when you see something, it can resemble something else.
Okay.
let me clarify.
Okay.
That there is nobody, the government itself does not intend to appropriate any state asset
Okay.
when it comes to ECG. If that was the objective, I'm sure that the government has the powers to go after ECG itself as an asset, to transfer equity. That is not the plan. It's to bring about efficiency, effectiveness. That is what you want to bring about. Now, if you see your power on today, it is because of hard work, and Doc himself acknowledged, because of leadership of the minister. Every single time.
And the staff of ECG.
I just wanted to chip this in.
We have
We
just 9 minutes to end.
Yes.
The segment.
In regards to
Yes.
a notable case study, let's look at DVLA.
Okay.
DVLA's inspection and testing centers were privatized to enhance efficiency in their operations. Today, I can tell you that through that facility, DVLA's revenue has increased by 57%, unprecedented in the history of our country.
And they're expanding all over.
And they're expanding.
We've seen some of their new
And
branches.
so there's no harm in privatizing the metering, the billing, and the collection aspect of
For that
ECG.
privatization, ECG revenues have increased by 90%.
And we know that it can increase significantly with
We will
private
do
sector
that. We will work
participation.
with you to do that.
I like that.
Look, so now, I think it's important to see that energy sector reform must not be driven by ambiguity and maybe half-truths and what I call or describe as Humpty Dumpty leadership style.
Like what happened at Nananado.
So you see, now, I think ECG can be reformed, stabilized, and made profitable without leading to what TUC, one of the fears of TUC. So I think we require political leadership, professional management, and commitment to institutional sustainability. These are the things that would revive ECG without necessarily auctioning off part of ECG core functions to individuals. I'm seeing that, and it bears repetition that this is a script. We've seen that script one too many, and Ghanaians, because you see, the difficulty is that if ECG eventually is sold off, tariffs will rise, electricity tariffs will rise.
It's not going to be sold off.
You are being speculative.
Relax.
We are spending enough time to tell you
Honorable, the time you spent is only to advance the interests of the government.
No, but don't mislead.
But I'm speaking as a consumer.
I don't consume power.
No,
I don't consume power.
But
right.
you have a double position. You are in a double position.
All right, Austin.
Honorable is in a double position.
So
Please, you have the floor.
they say once
But you
bitten
are
twice
not
shy.
misleading them.
How will I mislead? Everything I said, the man has fulfilled.
There's a saying in our language that
What
has he
if you are
done?
bitten by a snake, even when you see a rope in darkness, you run for your life.
Exactly. Your point is well made.
So Dr. Kobe is having the fears of the government of Nana Akufo-Addo and think that may play out under President Mahama. Dr. Kobe have the assurance that there's a vast difference between the leadership by President Mahama and that of Nana Akufo-Addo. You gave the example of Tor and how they were trying to sell Tor to themselves at the paltry sum of $22 million US. We will not do that. The process will be transparent. No, there will be no job losses, and we will ensure that there will be efficiency in the downstream of the power sector. I understand where your fear is. Do not liken the governance of President Akufo-Addo to that of President Mahama. There's a clear distinction between these two. We are doing the multiple list arrangement.
All right.
Comparative bidding will be done. Whether the person belongs to NPP or NDC, once the person has the financial muscle and can do the job, the person will be contracted.
All right. I'm going to read some of your messages, and if my producers will allow us 5 minutes, we will just give each of our guests just a bite at the gold board matter. So I'll wait for Shadrach, my producer, Shadrach, to let me know if we can have 5 minutes. Prince Henry from Koforidua says, I know this government will be a listening one, so I don't have any doubts that the ECG issues will be addressed and done amicably. All right. Now, Ghana's energy sector needs optimization due to bottlenecks limiting industrial growth. Engaging private-public partnerships will address operational inefficiencies and boost sustainability and enhance productivity. While acknowledging the TUC concerns on job losses, I'm very optimistic that this government will protect workers as promised. Let's enable private partnerships to create synergies for economic growth. And that's what Mark Ewusi Akko. All right, more messages coming in. Is Lawyer Bracco talking about his feelings or facts? We all have feelings, but our feelings do not represent facts. ECG staff are just greedy. They are thinking about their fat salaries. If they think they can't work with the government, they should please resign. And that's from Kalio Man, texting from Wa.
That's a personal view, Doc.
Some of your messages, I can't read them, but I thank you for sending them in. Now, I'll just give each of you by just 1 minute each on the gold board matter and the minorities call for a bipartisan probe. Doc.
Yes. Now, well, reading the IMF report, I think that it is clear that there has been a loss, even though there's no final audit from the central bank to that regards. But indeed, they do share data with the IMF due to the IMF policy that we are in, the program that we are in currently. If you look at Ghana's trajectory over the years, in 2018, our gold output was quite significant and higher than this year's own. Yet still, the cedi depreciated post-2018 to 2022 by 54%. This year, the cedi has appreciated significantly. And this is due to the gold board. You see, let us do a cost-to-benefit analysis. There's a macroeconomic gain, and there's a $214 million loss. Can you imagine if the gold board did not streamline the processes of gold exports, right, and reduce, smuggling? Mm-hmm. We would have had an issue where the cedi would have depreciated significantly, right? Inflation would have been skyrocketing. It would affect end consumers. The cost of medication, the cost of items in this country would have been significantly high. Businesses will lose their capital. And so let us forget about the politics of the day and what the MPP is doing. And indeed, under their regime, in 2024, the goal for the G4R and the goal for oil, that's the goal for reserves and the goal for oil, cumulatively lost 4.84 billion cedis. This year, right, we're estimating it to be, they have discontinued the goal for oil policy, which is quite significant. Mm-hmm. The gold for reserve, where the IMF is estimating it to be about $214 million. Yeah. But Ghanaians should know this, that for everything in terms of economics, we have what we call opportunity costs. We have to forego the loss of what? We have to forego $240 million to achieve some form of macroeconomic stability, which is significant. What the gold board has done
is unprecedented in the history of this country. We need to give them that, eulogy, as far as our economy is concerned.
So this loss is justified?
It's justified. It's a cost. And, it's due to certain operational aspects. I mean, differentials of Forex.
Are we to expect more of this cost?
Well, what I think they should do, and this is from a radical perspective, is that, look, if you look at where our exports is going to, we're looking at UAE and then India. Now, what are they using this gold for in India? They're using it for jewelry. And if you look at India's jewelry markets, as estimated this year, 2025, it's about $90 billion. In 2030, it would rise to $130 billion, right? So looking at this projection, what I want this government to do is to create an enclave called the Gold City.
The Gold City? The
Gold City, where we would have a policy, radical policy, that 60% of Ghana's gold will not be exported, but will be refined and would add value. And you can attract...
Before export?
Yes, but would add value. So you can attract companies like Cartier, Rolex, and all these high-end jewelry makers to this Gold City, and then create a hub where this Gold City will be the largest trading block as far as jewelry is concerned in the whole of the world. Dubai doesn't have a lot of mines. Yes, still Dubai trades a lot of volumes of gold.
They do.
And I think that this would increase our, employment rates. It would boost our foreign reserves. And indeed, we would have value for money when it comes to gold export. And
it's just not just gold, a lot of our other raw materials.
Yes,
even
I think that I think that to end this as well, the time of relying
that's
on
all your time.
No, let me just end, please. The time of relying on only minerals for exports is over.
Okay.
We need to diversify.
You've taken all the 5 minutes. Do I have your permission to end them?
Isn't the DTP?
Without
strategic anchor industry. Let me say that on this subject.
Yes.
I place greater confidence in IMF data than hurried local explanations. Why? Because the IMF and the World Bank rely on credible domestic and international sources for their data.
The ECG,
so I don't really trust what they are saying. And I think the handling of this matter by Gold Board leadership has even muddied the situation, because it was first an outright denial, then to an admission, then later they are saying that Gold Board was not constituted or set up to make profit.
Yes.
I think we just have to admit that these are operational losses, as Doc said. And let's see how we plug the holes. Because the thing is that if you buy gold at a premium and sell it at a discounted price, obviously you incur some losses. So let's see how we remodel the operational strategy of Gold Board.
Lawyer, it's a pricing strategy.
So that the thing is that
it's a price strategy.
No, so we need to address that.
I agree with you.
We need to address that.
I agree with you.
So that at least that's what I'm saying, that these operational losses are evident and structural. So as you were saying, but we need to plug the loophole. Yeah. And if the government if the Ministry of Finance will want to cushion the losses, that is fine and square. But the thing is that we must learn to admit certain things when the truth is, if I'm looking at you in the truth is looking at you in the face. Let's stop this politics of convenience, where we admit when it is convenient for us, or we deny it when we know that it's against us.
A loss is a loss.
A loss is a loss.
All right, Mohammed.
Now,
yes.
The call by the minority for a bipartisan probe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that a fine gentleman like Kojo Oponkroma would be speaking to such an issue.
Why are you surprised?
I see him as one of the fine members of parliament from the other side.
And your point is, what is wrong with
and
the
so,
call
for instance, the IMF talks about a loss of $214 million US for third quarter. Mm-hmm. No entity. You can't judge an entity just by the books of accounts for a quarter, just third quarter. Why don't you allow the year to end? They will prepare their financial statements so that you can tell whether they made a loss or they made some profit. And so I know Kojo Oponkroma to be a long-standing member.
Let's not talk about his person.
I'm saying he addressed the press.
Yes, but let's.
He addressed the
He
press.
spoke on behalf of the minority.
He's a long-standing member of the finance committee. It is my thinking that he has some finance background, and you should know that you don't prepare financial statements at the end of third quarter. In a case like the doctor said, this same bank of under the gold for reserve and gold for oil, they recorded a total of 7.7 billion Ghana loss for 2023 and 2024.
Yeah.
That loss has been reduced to about 2.1, and you are calling for a bipartisan approach. Bipartisan investigations. Why? Bank of Ghana.
All right.
Bank of Ghana.
That's your time.
Bank
That's
of
your
Ghana.
time. That's your time. That's your time.
Mention Akufo-Addo in the post-mortem deal.
Gentlemen.
Yes.
Well, you could have called for an investigation.
I wish we had enough time.
Yes.
We don't have enough.
Unfortunately, we don't.
We don't have enough time. It's so
Gold
painful.
board has been a master stroke for the government.
Okay.
And you can see that the minority has always been jittery when it comes to gold board.
Oh, yes.
And
Exactly.
so the least opportunity to bastardize, they'll take the
They'll do,
opportunity. And it's worse when it's Samiji who is involved.
I know, right?
And so
I know.
instead of looking at the issues in its perspective, of course, there's an opportunity to politicize it and then look at, make political advantage of it. If you look at the effects of gold board on our economy today, look at exchange rates.
Yeah.
We've moved from 17 to 11, and the government itself attributes part of the successes to it.
Largely.
If you look at the fiscal and the management of the economy by BOG and Finance Ministry, inflation itself. And so, yes, it's a new institution.
All right.
They're now setting up.
All our
Let's give
microphones
them
have been
time.
turned off at this point. We have totally overrun. Gentlemen, I'll say thank you so much for your time and your contributions on the show today. Thank you also for sending in your messages. We appreciate them so much.